Hey, what's up, guys? I've gotten a few requests on requests for tutorials on how I edit photos in Lightroom and Photoshop and stuff. So I figured I would do a little quick and dirty edit of this photo of Johnny that I shot not too long ago, just to kind of show everyone the basics of what I do to edit some of my photos. Um, let's see. First of all. This is shot at right before dusk, so I guess the lighting is okay. It's pretty flat, as you can tell, so one of the first things I do, obviously, is just look at exposure and contrast. The exposure seems okay. We can mess with that a little bit later, but most of my skate photos, or all I should say, I usually bump the contrast quite a bit. Because that helps saturate the image as well, make those colors pop out a little bit more. So another thing too, it's always good when you're adding contrast, or at least the way I do it. I try to do a majority of the contrast. I try to add it manually as opposed to with the contrast slider. You can add this all the way up and go up to 100 or whatever, but it's better. You have better control over the image if you can use these black sliders and the white sliders. I'm in Lightroom 4, by the way. Lightroom 3 is basically the same concept. You would use the black slider, you would pull it up to add more blacks, and then you could use the recovery slider, I think it is, to pull the highlights down or whatever you need to do. But it's good to add contrast this way, or at least I like to. And so kind of get it somewhat where it looks okay. I'm going to bring these shadows up a little bit just to bring some more detail into the shadow area since we dropped the blacks a bunch. And let's see, white balance. It looks a little bit, or I mean, the camera usually does a really good job, or at least my camera does, of picking in the auto white balance setting. Does a really good job, but I really like the blues in the sky, so I'm going to pull the temperature down a little bit, make it a little bit cooler just so the blues in the sky pop out a little bit more. That looks pretty good. Another thing you can do with the sky, if you want to make those blues pop, you can come down into these the hue, saturation, luminance, and you can pull the saturation up in the blues or whatever color you're trying to accentuate in the image. It's not really necessary in this photo too much, just because the blues are already pretty prominent. You can also mess with the luminance and get those the luminance values somewhere around where you want them. And another thing, I'd probably overdo it a little bit with the sharpening, but it's just kind of what I like to do. Pull it up quite a bit. Let's see. So yeah, obviously there's some, or I don't know if you can see them too well on the video screen, but there's lots of little sensor dust. Here you can see it in the sky, but it's a real real easy fix in Lightroom. You just grab the this tool up here, the healing tool. I don't even know what it's called. It's a shortcut Q on the keyboard if you're using Lightroom. So you can just pull these out. It usually does a pretty good job with the healing spot removal, I guess is what it's called in Lightroom. It's basically like the healing brush in Photoshop, or the spot healing brush in Photoshop, I should say. So yeah, you can just pull these, drag any sunspots that you see, or sensor dust, I should say. Get these all cleaned up. Another way to spot the sensor dust a lot easier is if you can come over here to the tone curve, and you can just basically make a big hill and a valley over here, and it really can accentuate the spots. Makes it a lot easier sometimes when you're trying to get rid of the spots. Makes them easier to see at least. And then when you're done, you can just grab these points that you made and just drag them off, and they'll the tone curve will go back to what it originally was. So yeah, there's probably a few more of these in here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time making this perfect, but you guys get the idea. And then, yeah, just a quick look. I would probably crop this into like a 5x7 or a 4x5 even. Yeah, 4x5 would probably look good with this. Get him over into the kind of the extreme corner over here. Add some drama to the photo, I guess. He's a little bit dark too, so I would come up, I don't know, give him like a stop or so, expose the stop up, and just come in with the brush, and you can just paint this in, brighten him up a little bit. Make sure not to go out of bounds there. And then, yeah, I want to brighten the pants up a little bit too, but definitely not as much as the black shirt. So you can just hit new and get a new brush. I would maybe a third stop or so on the pants. And brighten those up a little bit as well. Maybe touch the wheels, trucks, just kind of the darker spots. It's the subject, obviously, so you want to brighten them up, or at least make them one of the brighter parts in the image, just to catch the attention of the viewer or whatever. I don't know. So this is kind of roughly what I would normally do. I really like the blues in this, so I want to pull the saturation up a tad too. And that'll help also saturate Johnny's face a little bit as well, so it kind of you have that natural contrast between the sky and the orange in Johnny's skin, so it kind of draws the eye over to the corner of the image where it's kind of not really on the third, it's a little bit more extreme, so it's good to have your subject pretty bright, or at least have some contrast over there so that you can easily tell the difference, or tell where your eye is supposed to go at least. It looks like I think I screwed this up a little bit. I'm going to pull some of that out. And then there's one more spot over here to get rid of. Cool. So that basically is what I would do. I'd probably go in and take out this shadow that the flash cast on the stairs when I'm like hanging out at the bottom there. But that is probably something that would take a lot longer than I would show in this video. So this is basically just a quick and dirty little tutorial on what I would do in Lightroom to retouch a skate photo. So yeah, that's basically it. Have a good one, guys.